Congratulations on your admissions to the University of Washington, Seattle campus. We are so thrilled that you have chosen to attend our university. We know this is an exciting time for you, and we want to make sure that you're prepared to begin your studies at UW.
This video will provide important information to ensure that you have a successful entrance to the United States and transition to your studies at UW.
After watching this video, you should be familiar with International Student Services and how we can support you during your time at the University of Washington. Identify the various immigration documents relevant to your arrival in the United States. Know the steps to prepare for your arrival to the U.S. and understand the check-in requirements after arriving in the U.S. During your time at UW, the International Student Services Office, or ISS, will be your resource for matters related to your immigration status.
ISS is a team of professional advisors who help over 9,000 continuing and graduated F and J international students navigate the complexities of immigration regulations. This includes advising about F1 benefits and restrictions related to enrollment requirements and employment, helping navigate university policies and how they affect your immigration status, and processing updates to your I-20 and benefit requests. To help students, our office provides advising services that allow you to get answers to complex questions. Our advising services include virtual and in-person drop-in advising, information sessions that cover a specific topic, and sometimes one-on-one appointments to discuss particularly challenging situations. You can also contact our office by submitting the Contact ISS form through our website. When you submit this form, your email will be assigned a ticket number and routed to our advising team. Please be patient as we may take several weeks to respond to your email. We ask that you do not send multiple tickets as this will only increase our response time.
Many of your interactions with International Student Services will happen through My ISSS. My ISSS is your immigration portal with the University of Washington. In this portal, you can access your immigration documents issued by the university, submit requests related to your immigration documents, enrollment, and employment, and check the status of a request. Please note, processing times for requests submitted through My ISSS are typically about 3 to 4 weeks.
Now, let's review important information as you prepare to arrive in the U.S. As an admitted international student, it is important to understand the various immigration documents needed for your study in the United States. These include your passport, an I-20, the I-901 fee receipt, and your F1 visa. Let's review each of these documents. You will use your passport to enter the United States. In most cases, to enter the U.S., you must have a passport that is valid for at least 6 months after the date you enter. Additionally, during your studies at UW, your passport must be valid at all times. To renew or replace your passport while you are in the U.S., you should contact your country's consulate in the U.S. As an F1 international student, you will need to receive an I-20 certificate of eligibility. Your I-20 is an important document for your F1 immigration status. It provides the U.S. government with information about you and your academic program, including your biographical details, information about your academic program, the cost and funding of your studies, employment authorization and employer details, and a travel signature used to re-enter the U.S. Let's review the I-20 further. First, in the top left corner of the document, you can find your SEVIS ID, which is 10 digits and begins with the letter N. SEVIS stands for the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, which is the government's online database of F1 immigration records. Your I-20 reflects the data from your electronic SEVIS record. On page 1 of the I-20, you will find your biographical details. This includes your name, country of birth and citizenship, and date of birth. This information should match the information on your passport. On page 1 of the I-20, you will also find your program information. This includes your education level, major, and program start and end dates. The program start date is the first day of the academic quarter. You can enter the U.S. as early as 30 days prior to this date. New students should enter the U.S. by this date. If you anticipate arriving late, please contact International Student Services. The program end date is the date that your I-20 expires. An expired I-20 can be a serious immigration problem and may cause difficulties for your academic studies and other immigration-related processes. During your studies, keep in mind your I-20 program end date, which you can always check in your My ISSS portal. It is possible to extend your I-20 end date for limited reasons. On page 2 of the I-20, you can find a section for travel signatures. For your first entry into the United States, you do not need a travel signature. You can receive a travel signature after you have arrived in the U.S. and successfully checked in with our office. Note, once you have entered the U.S., we do not recommend that you travel outside the country until after the start of your program. Remember, the I-20 is very important. Many academic or personal changes during your studies may need to be updated on your I-20. Use My ISSS request and our website instructions to ensure that your immigration record and I-20 are always accurate. Please keep a copy of every I-20 you receive, as you might need this in the future. You can also find previous I-20s in your My ISSS portal. Once you have been issued an I-20 by UW, you will need to pay to the U.S. government the I-901 fee. You should do this prior to your visa appointment and arriving in the U.S. The fee can be paid through the following website, fmjfee.com. Once you have paid the fee, you will be issued a receipt. Keep this receipt for your records and bring it with you during your visa interview and when you enter the U.S. In addition to your passport and I-20, you will need an F-1 visa to enter the United States. The F-1 visa can be issued by a U.S. consulate or embassy abroad. Your visa is not permission to stay in the U.S., but instead only used to enter, though it does not guarantee entrance. Once you have entered the U.S., your length of stay in the country is determined by your I-20, not your visa. Because the visa is only used to enter the U.S., it is okay for your visa to expire while you are in the U.S., but it must be valid any time you attempt to enter the country from abroad. Note, Canadian passport holders do not need a visa to enter the U.S.
Once you have the necessary immigration documents, you are ready to travel to the United States. Let's review important information regarding your arrival in the U.S.
As mentioned, you can enter the U.S. as early as 30 days prior to the program start date on your I-20. To enter, you will need your passport, visa, I-20, and I-901 fee receipt. We also recommend you bring your class schedule and supporting financial documents. You will need to present these documents to the border official at your port of entry. They may review these documents and ask questions. You should be prepared to answer questions related to your academic plans. If you arrive in the U.S. by airplane or ship, you will be issued an online I-94, which may take a few days. Students who enter by land may be given a paper I-94. The I-94 is your arrival and departure record.
Once you have been granted entrance into the United States, you will need to complete a few actions with International Student Services at UW.
After arriving in the United States, you must complete the F-1 immigration check-in with ISS. This can be done in your My ISSS portal. There are several steps to this check-in process. You will need to obtain an accurate I-94. Additionally, you should update your MyUW account with the address where you are staying in Seattle. You will also need to update your U.S. phone number in MyUW. Lastly, you will need to register full-time for ISS to process your immigration check-in. For undergraduate students, this is 12 credits a quarter. For graduate students, this is usually 10 credits a quarter. If you need help registering for classes, reach out to your academic advisor or department. Once you have completed these steps, log into your My ISSS portal. On the right-hand side, you will find the Request and Documents tab. The F-1 immigration check-in request can be found on this page towards the right with other request icons. Complete and submit this request. Once processed, you will receive a confirmation email stating that we have registered your immigration record with the government's immigration system, SEVIS. Only after this has been completed will you have access to additional requests in My ISSS, including an SSN letter and travel signature.
This concludes our pre-arrival video. To briefly summarize, International Student Services is here to support you during your studies at the University of Washington. Prior to arriving, you should become familiar with the immigration documents relevant to the F-1 immigration status. And once you've arrived in the U.S., you will need to complete the F-1 immigration check-in through your My ISSS portal. Thank you for taking the time to learn about ISS and your F-1 immigration status. We can't wait to welcome you to our campus.